Good evening. This is Eswatini TV News at 8, read to you by myself, Nathalie Sitole, alongside Nomakabiso Ngambule. First up, let's have a look at our headlining stories. His Majesty King Mswati III says the relations between the Kingdom of Eswatini and the Zulu Kingdom should be nurtured and developed. Government strongly condemns the burning and destroying of national infrastructure. 300,000 Eswatini will receive food aid from the government from next week. And now our bulletin in detail. His Majesty King Mswati III says the relations between the Kingdom of Eswatini and the Zulu Kingdom should be nurtured and developed. Speaking during the visit of His Majesty King Misizulu at Manvulo Grand Hall, His Majesty says the two nations should support each other at all times.
His Majesty King Mswati III yesterday received a high-powered delegation from the royal family of the Zulu nation. The delegation was led by His Majesty King Misizulu and the traditional Prime Minister Prince Kajabuthelezi Umntwana wakwaPhindangene. The delegation, which included senior members of the royal family, was in the country to pass their condolences and words of comfort to the royal family of Eswatini and the entire nation following the passing away of Zulu King Zwelithini early this year, and subsequently Princess Mantombi, who had been appointed the Queen Mother of the Zulu nation. In response, the Ingwenyama Maswati observed that the two nations have so many things in common which binds them together, which includes and not limited to just culture and history. He said the unity and friendship that was formed many years ago by their predecessors need to be nurtured and guided so that it remains strong for the benefit of the future generations of the two nations. King Mswati III said as members of the two royal families, they have to support each other in both good and bad times. Ingwenyama Maswati said that the huge dowry for Princess Mantombi was paid by the Zulu nation because of her birthright, and that was a huge significant recognition of the Eswatini royalty by the Zulu nation. The two royal families also touched upon the just-ended anarchy experienced by the Kingdom of Eswatini and the Republic of South Africa, particularly KwaZulu-Natal province, where looting and burning of properties was rife. They observed that what took place was a new phenomenon which they have never experienced before in their lives. Both the royal families said they are praying to the Almighty God that this should never happen again. Ingwenyama Maswati pointed out that this happened at a time when the Kingdom of Eswatini was fighting the deadly virus COVID-19, and that it reversed the gains the country had made, and the kingdom is currently experiencing a huge hike in both positive and bad figures, which is causing a lot of pressure to the country's health sector in terms of hospital beds and other amenities required to fight the pandemic. Both kings attested to the fact that the time-tested way of solving differences is not by violence, intimidation, looting, vandalizing, and burning of properties, but through dialogue. They noted that what happened has long-term effects to both the Republic of South Africa, particularly within the most affected provinces, and the Kingdom of Eswatini, with potential to scare away investors. Another significance of the visit was that King Misizulu wanted to officially introduce his Undlunkulu. Bagangwane wished them well and also encouraged them to work together as they assume this important role of kingship. Bagangwane encouraged them to work closely and remain united in all times for the benefit of the Zulu nation. They encouraged them to be the positive image of Sigodlo SakwaZulu and unite the Zulu nation. King Misizulu, Premier Kajabuthelezi, and the entire entourage expressed appreciation towards by the warm and kind words of wisdom from Imbube Maswati. They say They hope that His Majesty King Mswati III will continue to support King Misuzulu anytime when he needs support, since they have strong ties with Sigodlo Sakangwane, being the son of Queen Mother Mantombi of Eswatini. Both kings encouraged their nations to continue fighting the spread of the COVID-19 by heeding all the rules and teachings that are provided by the health experts in order to curb the spread of COVID-19, so that all efforts are focused on the reconstruction of the economy and social stability following the just-ended crisis. On the news, I'm Paulina Mazia at Lozita Palace.
Government strongly condemns the phenomenon of burning and destroying national infrastructure, especially school buildings, government offices and health facilities, by arsonists and criminals hiding under the banner of political activism. This was revealed by the Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini during a press conference held in cabinet offices in Mbabane.
Following incidents of banning of schools, including Velebanfo High School and Jerusalem High School recently in the Shiselweni region, as well as the destruction of national infrastructure, government offices and health facilities by arsonists, Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini says this behavior cannot be tolerated under any civilized and forward-looking society, and there can never be any justification of such acts of violence.
The economy and education sector in particular has already suffered greatly from the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, with major disruption of teaching and learning. The school's calendar is now at a critical stage where students have to prepare for examinations. The price of the loss of schools will be too high to pay for eMaswati, and will be felt for generations to come. Education is a critical driver for wealth creation and economic development in any society, and needs to be protected at all costs and under all circumstances. Unfortunately, the cost of all this destruction will be borne by the community and country, and not by the perpetrators. We therefore appeal to parents, learners, and the community members to work closely with the police in protecting schools, national infrastructure, and private property, ensuring that arsonists and instigators face the full wrath of the law. Police will intensify investigations to bring to book the criminals that are burning schools, national infrastructure, and businesses, and all those using social media to instigate and spread messages of violence, hate, and terrorism against the nation. The police alone can only achieve limited success, and they need the support of all of us.
The Prime Minister further says the war against COVID-19 is evidently far from over, leaving in its wake hundreds of casualties and immeasurable pain due to both the adverse economic effects and the health impact, causing loss of lives and livelihoods. The Prime Minister further appeals to all eMaswati to continue adhering to the COVID-19 regulations. The Prime Minister further applauds eMaswati for showing great enthusiasm to vaccinate and appeals to eMaswati to continue with the adherence to the COVID-19 protocols even after getting vaccinated. For Eswatini TV News, Zoto Atlamini and Mbonga Dube in Mbabane.
The Honorable Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini says government will next week Wednesday start distributing food assistance to at least 300,000 people that were negatively impacted by COVID-19 and the civil unrest in various Dinkudla centers and chiefdoms around the country. The Prime Minister said this during a press conference held at cabinet offices in Mbabane.
Government is pleased to announce that at least 300,000 vulnerable people that were negatively impacted by COVID-19 and the civil unrest will be provided with food assistance from next week Wednesday. The program is worth 140 million Government will be communicating with the communities through appropriate structures on how this distribution will take place and on the dates. Cyclone Eloise. May I also take this opportunity to update the nation on the steps implemented to mitigate the impact of Cyclone Eloise that left a trail of destruction across the country. A total of 178 houses have been constructed by government through NDMA across the country, providing shelter to many people who were affected by the cyclone. 20 bridges, culverts, and low-level crossings which were damaged by cyclone have been fixed.
The Minister of Health, Nkosi, has requested that her ministry be given an extension of 14 days to submit a report to Senate on government's plans of improving Eswatini's primary health sector. The minister says a significant proportion of the team working on this report has been affected by COVID-19.
During the senators' sitting on Wednesday, one of the activities for the day was the tabling of a report detailing government's plans of improving Eswatini's primary health sector. However, the Minister of Health, Nkosi, requested senators to give her an extension to submit this report. The minister explained that the report is not complete because most of those working on it have been infected with COVID-19 and are in no position to do their work.
Bese sibuka nje ukuthi lo tawuba khona ngoba bese soqalela umsebenzi ongakapheli wona kodwa lokuthi impunga tinginiketa lithuba maybe ngacela sale sibeka ku 14 days ingence ngoba vele umsebenzi wethu omnengi nasifika lapho start ikhanza ukuthi kuna leminye imisebenzi njengoba sigijimisa ku vaccinator nje nyalo nalokunye abantu bagula kakhulu kuyafuneka lokuthi imisebenzi siyende siyayisithanze lokuthi sithi impunga nathi sinomsebenzi siwende ngesikhathi sewuletha ngesikhathi kusehlulile this time round ngiyacela Mr President sisale senda 14 days singecela ngiyabonga.
As Eswatini battles the third wave of the outbreak of COVID-19, the cumulative number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Eswatini stands at 34,585, while on Thursday alone, 1,020 people tested positive for this disease. 9 people succumbed to this illness in a single day. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu with Mbongwa Dube in Parliament.
Sitegi-based pastors, in collaboration with other stakeholders, today organized a cleanup campaign. Pastor Senzo Mhlanga says this initiative is to help young people recognize the opportunities that exist in the recycling industry and also to promote cleanliness in the region.
On Friday, pastors, in collaboration with other stakeholders, which includes the Eswatini Environmental Authority and the Eswatini Police Service, met at Lontlupego for a cleanup campaign. Dumiso Makakula, who spoke on behalf of the Environmental Authority, emphasized the importance of working in a clean environment.
Wekuhlobisa lonhlupheko njengoba sibona nje ukuthi sekungconywana nathi sibe inqumbi liyahamba la kufanele ngabe tilahlwa khona kakhulu ke kubonga bosomabhizinisi nesivetsa kalonhlupheko wekuthi bakhona ukuphuma sibambisane sihlobise indzawo yabo labasebentela kuyo nalabahlala kuyo. Siyabonga futhi nekubambisana emphathini environment authority nemaphoyisa ekusiteni ukuthi sikhona ukukhulana nemithetho lekhona lokufaka ekhathi umthetho longabeke ukuphatheka kwetiko.
Pastor Senzo Mhlanga, who spoke on behalf of the pastors, says the campaign is meant to help the youth as they were taught about business skills and crime prevention.
Abantu abasha basukumile ke basesteki imimango lehlukahlukene sihlangene la kulukhula nje la kalonhlupheko sihlanganiswe ngiko ukuthi we have got the march ukuthi Eswatini back to God siphinze sivusetele nabo labanye abantu abasha belive nebafundisi labanye lesibambisane nabo egameni lika Jesu Kristu kwekuthi uNkulunkulu akaphinza abuyise bukhona bakhe kunalive lethu aphinza ukuze alethe imvuselelo lephakeme lebeyivele ikhona itolo bantu bagcwale kumesaba uNkulunkulu bakhohlwe ngekunaka indoda elive nangekuthi ufuna injabulo yesikhashana live la uNkulunkulu liyakhuluma kubase Roma 14 verse number 17 ukuthi umbuso kaNkulunkulu awusiko ngekudla nangekunatha but ungumbuso longekuthula. It's about peace and joy.
Mhlanga says they have hope that this deed will be helpful to the youth. Reporting is Tembelihle Makuchwa.
United States Ambassador, or rather United States of America Ambassador to Eswatini, Jean Malani, has encouraged all fathers in Eswatini to fully and carefully embrace their role of bringing up their children because when brought up well, children become adults who positively impact the society.
The award-giving ceremony for winners of this year's Babelo Cotfo Letter to the Father competition, which is run by Kwakha Invota organization, was held at the Mountain Inn Hotel in Babane. In this event, the American ambassador to Eswatini, Jean Maloney, who was guest speaker, encouraged fathers to actively play their role of properly raising their children.
There is no question that a present and engaged father contributes to cohesive, resilient families and in turn builds cohesive, resilient communities. And as parents, caregivers, and community members, it bears reminding. Children see how we treat each other, and they model that behavior. If children watch positive male role models respecting women and embracing gender equity, they internalize those lessons.
Kwakha Invota Executive Director Tom Churchyard gives an insight on the significance of the letter writing competition.
Increasingly, and for a number of reasons, we live in broken homes. Only 22% of children in Eswatini live with two biological parents under the same roof. That leaves most 4 in 5 living with one or none.
This year's winner, Eswatini Nyoni of Malandi in Pikspik, then took time to read the letter he wrote for his grandfather, Pastor Patrick Nyoni, who has been nurturing the young men and providing for his needs ever since Eswatini's father passed away.
Asiphile impilo yokusebenzela lezulu. Uma ngicabanga ukukhula kwami, ngifikelwa buhlungu, inhlitiyo iyephuka, kushisa tinyembeti emehlweni ami. Ngibuye ngibhubhude imisebenzi yakho mkhulu empilweni yami.
The grateful grandfather then also took time to appreciate his grandson, and he also highlighted the importance of the rights of children, especially the right to be loved and taken care of. Jolene Dlamini came third in this competition, with the second place being taken by Senzi Shongwe. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu with Mbongwatube in Babane.
And now we'll have an ad break, followed by a look at our financial markets.
Babukeli behlelo imbili kanye bayatisa ukuthi lo hlelo selitawusuka esikhatsini salo lesetayelekile ngensimbi yesithupha kusihlwa ngelisondvo. Lungeneke ngalo ke lisondvo mase eshaya gabanca insimbi yesihlanu yendzambama 5:30. Kanti ke ngalosihlanu lo hlelo litawuchubeka lungene ngensimbi yelishumi nakunye ekseni. Lo hlelo likhulumisa ke tindzaba tentfutfuko nenhlala kahle kusukela emimangweni nasetinkhundleni lapho eMaswati aphila khona.
Whatever happens, whatever outcomes in any economy are by result of the interaction of the social, economic and political decisions.
Uphakamise likhulumisa dona ke tindzaba temnotfo intfutfuko nenhlala kahle esigabeni sahulumende.
Kepha ke lokumgcoka buyakhulunyiswana nawe ibuka wena uyisola lento ukuthi akwentiwa ngani lo wena so operator wena sewufuneka ukwente lo banenge labo thilo kufuneka uba cross.
Siphinzeke sithinzeke tonke tinhlangothi letithinzekako nalethifaka ke sandla ekuthuthukiseni wona ke umnotfo nekusimamisa inhlala kahle eveni.
Ngetulu kwaloko vele netinombolo tiyatshengisa ukuthi bomake ngibo labagcinzeteleke kakhulu. Nasibuka nje ukuthi eParliament namuhla sinangakhi kwabomake. Bomake labakhethwa nga-2018 babili kuphela u-59 wema constituency.
Yiba ingcenye yalo hlelo njalo njengelisondvo mase ishaya gabanca insimbi yesihlanu endzambama nangabo lesihlanu ngensimbi yelishumi nakunye ekseni. Libandla delkhetfo nemingcele i-Elections and Boundaries Commission lathi-ke sive ngelukhetfo lokuvala ketikhala kutsi litawubanjwa ngemhla ka-14 August 2021 kunati tindzawo letilandzelako. Tinkundla letitsindzekako nguLamgabhi inkundla, Matsanjeni South inkundla naseShiselweni 1 inkundla. Esifundzeni saseshiselweni, enkundleni yaseshiselweni 1 kutabe kuvotelwa lilunga lephalamende. Esifundzeni sakaManzini, enkundleni kaLamgabhi kutabe kuvotelwa lilunga lephalamende. Esifundzeni saseshiselweni ngaphansi kwenkundla yaseMatsanjeni South kutabe kuvotelwa indvuna yenkundla. Sikhathi-ke sekucala kuvota kuto tonke letindzawo ngo-7 ekuseni, kutsi mate kuyovalwa ngensimbi yesi5 bese-ke kucala kubalwa kwamavoti. Bonke-ke lababhalisela-ke kuvota bayakhutsata ukuthi baphumelele kulo msebenzi, baphathe-ke sicepezane sekuvota noma-ke matisi webuve. Khumbula ukuthi vikela ku-COVID-19 ngekuchelelana umgamu longu-2 meters, ufake-ke isifonyo kahle, uphindze-ke ugeze-ke tandla njalo ngemanti nensipho noma ngesanitizer. Lo mlayeto ukhishwa ngusihlalo welibandla Prince Mhlabhlangene Dlamini.
Standard Bank. It can be.
Welcome back. You are still watching Eswatini TV. Let's have a look at our sports news. The Minister for Sports, Harris Bulunga, says the team going for the African Under-20 Championships in Kenya should learn a lot from the likes of Sibusiso Matsenjwa, who recently returned from the Olympics. The minister was speaking when bidding farewell to the team, where he also presented them with 75,000 emalangeni.
The National Under-20 Athletics team will take part in the World Under-20 Athletics Championships that will be hosted in Nairobi, Kenya. Before leaving, the team went to bid farewell to the Minister of Sports, Harris Bulunga, where the minister urged them to take motivation from the Olympics team.
I therefore wish to begin by urging you to find inspiration in the example of the team that went to Tokyo. While we didn't achieve a podium finish there, the entire team performed admirably while behaving in an impeccable manner and serving as fine ambassadors of our kingdom. That same responsibility is now shifted to you as a team. Wenzoguhle, Ayanda, Lihle, Bongmenzi and Bakona, as well as Muzi and Zabenguli. We are sending you out as representatives of our beautiful kingdom, and we urge you to stay true to the values that have come to define us as a nation.
The president of the Eswatini Athletics Association says the World Championship plays a key role in sport development.
The Under-20 Championships play a central stage as a developmental competitions and build up towards elite performance. All major household names in athletics, like the so-called Usain Bolt and Alison Felix, have gone through these games.
Menzoguhle Msibu spoke on behalf of the athlete, promised that they will indeed perform to their level best.
Our first goal is to fight to get to the next round. Then once we get there, anything can happen. So my preparations on and my improvements since the national championships. Pointless year deliver something great. And thank you so much to Sibusiso Matsenjwa to show us that everything is possible and we are motivated. Thank you so much. We are the future together for God.
The minister also announced that the government will also give them a sum of 75,000 emalangeni, which will help in their traveling, and also the private sector also donated towards the trip a sum of over 80,000 emalangeni. The team will only compete in the 4x1 relay and will be hoping to get a podium finish. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizwe Msibi with Linda Dlamini, Babane.
The Minister of Sports, Harris Bulunga, on Friday welcomed home Team Eswatini from the Olympic Games, where also different companies donated a sum of 121,000 emalangeni to Sibusiso Matsenjwa for his heroic performance in Tokyo.
Following the closing of the Olympic Tokyo 2020 Games last week, local athletes who took part in the Games are backing their country. The Minister of Sports, Harris Bulunga, on a ceremony of welcoming the athletes, applauded the way they represented the nation at the Games. The minister also presented Sibusiso Matsenjwa with a sum of 50,000 emalangeni from Inyadzi Construction Company.
Sbusiso, Robin, Smanga, Tabiso, as well as the coaches, Fanana, Welcome Tlabati, and Muzimabuza. Thank you so much for representing us well in Tokyo. We sent you out as representatives of Eswatini with the eyes of the world on you over the past 2 to 3 weeks. True to your promise, you exhibited professional and exemplary behavior in Tokyo. I'm also pleased to announce that government has been engaging with various private sector partner organizations with a view of supporting and encouraging our athletes. And we are pleased to announce that Inyati Construction has come on board with a 50,000 cash reward for Sbusiso.
Sbusiso Matsendwa thanked all eMaswati who supported him while he was in Japan.
Bengicala ukuthi ngithole isupport lengaka ngilama game langa ngoba ukwathi nje mangiyogijima bengibona la kubo Facebook bapostile abantu ukuthi Mathenjwa ugijima ngabo bani isikhathi kwangimotivate lokho because ngabona ukuthi back home bantu ba ready to bayongibukela.
Other companies include Mula Sports Betting, Waterman, Lifespan, and SNG donated a combined sum of 121,000 emalangeni to Sbusiso Matsendwa. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports, I'm Linda Dlamini with Patizo Msibi, Mbabane.
That's all for now. Before we conclude, let's have a look at our top stories. His Majesty King Mswati III says the relations between the Kingdom of Eswatini and the Zulu Kingdom should be nurtured and developed. Government strongly condemns the burning and destroying of national infrastructure. 300,000 eMaswati will receive food aid from the government from next week. And with that, Eswatini, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update from myself and the team here at Eswatini TV. Thanks for tuning in. Good night.
Everywhere you go, MTN.